Welcome everyone to the Leadership Insights. I have to repeat that. Welcome everyone to the Leadership Insights series interview with Michael Lewis, who is the director of Proctor Major, or one of the directors of Proctor Major, and we'll be hearing from Michael in just a short while. What we want to do first is just to explain a little bit about who organisations that matter are. So I'll just do a little bit of that for you and explain that organisations that matter exist to provide services to senior and developing leaders who share our view that organisational success is built upon enabling people to be the best that they can be. And once you've got that view of the world, then you ensure that your strategy and your systems and processes are aligned to enabling people to be the best they can be, which is obviously where leadership comes in. There's just a broad range of the organisations with whom we work. So there's a huge spread there across lots of different industries, because leadership is very much similar. It's just applied slightly differently in different fields, such as the accounting and professional services industry that Michael's part of. As we go through the webinar, it's really important that you take notes, and I encourage you to do so. You might have some questions that you'd like to ask Michael as we go, and so please take some notes. Also, be prepared to ask some questions. So you have your little dashboard in the top right-hand corner of your screen. So you might want to raise your hand and or just type some questions in. So the majority of you, as you don't have a microphone, typing questions in will be how we go. Again, we are recording this webinar, so you will be able to review it later, and I will be sending you all a link to the webinar recording. When you see this little symbol at the end, that's when I will be going to the open microphone, and you will be able to ask some questions directly of Michael if you wish to do so, or type them in depending on what your choice is. So let's get to our focus of this particular interview. We'd like to talk about Michael, who has had a fascinating journey throughout his career and has benefited from being involved in both a family business and co-curricular university activities while he was a student. Michael, good afternoon and welcome. And for the members of the audience, what would you like to tell them about Proctor Major and where it's heading as a starting point?
Sure. Well, thanks, Gary. Proctor Major, as an accounting firm, we've been around for about 30-odd years. In the recent times, we've had a significant injection of youth around the place, and to coincide with that, we've decided to go down a slightly different road to the traditional model of accounting being tax and compliance.
Yes.
And so we've made a concerted effort to be much more proactive in the way that we work with our clients. Part of what we've done is we've joined a national network called Proactive Accountants Network.
Yes.
And that's it's an invitation-only network of accounting firms that are committed to working with our clients much more closer to help dramatically improve their business, but also improve our own business as well. I suppose with accounting, a lot of what we do is reactive, and it's largely history writing, I suppose.
Yes.
Studies show that clients want much more than that. They come to their account to get their taxes done and their financial reports prepared, but that's all. A lot of that is looking back, and we find that they want help with cash flow, they want help with profit improvement, and a lot of the times the client doesn't actually come out and say that either.
Yes, Michael. Actually, Pauline's typed in a question just asking for an example of what being proactive looks like. So it sounds like you're just about to go there.
Yeah, sure. Well, a good example might be you might have a client who calls up and says, Michael, can you prepare a cash flow for us? And so we, traditionally we might have said, yes, no problems, it'll cost X amount of dollars and be ready next Tuesday.
Yes.
But being being proactive, you really should be saying, well, why do you want a cash flow? Not well, because I need to send it to the bank. Why do you need to send it to the bank? Oh, because we have to increase our overdraft. Why do you need to increase your overdraft? And their answer might be, because, we're having trouble getting paid. And so it sort of opens up, a lot more issues. And it's not just about the cash flow. They say they want the cash flow, but what they really need is help, with reviewing their, say, terms of trade, their debtor collection policy, all those sorts of things. So the client themselves aren't always forthright in coming out and saying exactly what they need, and just being proactive is just picking up on those sort of things.
Yeah, it sounds like you're just using a tool called the 5 Whys tool. Is that a conscious thing that you were doing in terms of going through all those questions of why in that example? Is that something that you guys, a tool that you use at all?
Yeah, we have. I'm not totally au fait with the particular tool that you're talking about, but we certainly do have similar type of things.
Well, you just did it, so you're definitely au fait with it.
There you go.
It's as simple as using why 5 times a row to really get to the root issue. And as you said there, someone comes in with a cash flow problem, which on the surface seems like, okay, let's just get them a bigger overdraft to get more cash. But in reality, it's well, what's going on with your terms here? Why is it? That's really what's driving your cash flow problems. Let's go have a look at that, and maybe there's even some further issues upstream. And I'm hearing that as a real example of being proactive, as Pauline's asked you to talk about. So
really,
you go.
Yeah, sorry. No, I was just going to say, it's not what we're doing, but it's why we're doing it, which is important.
So what part of your journey, particularly when you became involved with Proctor Major, and we're going to end up going a little bit further back in your journey and your story, what made you want to become, to join this industry body of being Proactive Accountants Network, and what was the thinking behind for you that triggered you to take that different path maybe than a traditional accounting professional services firm?
Yeah, look, I think, we really just wanted to, doing that sort of work is much more rewarding.
Yep.
And, that we find that, the staff that we've got here, they enjoy doing that type of thing, much more than, just churning out tax returns and, financial accounts. So, overall, I think, we're improving our client's position. We're creating a much more enjoyable workplace, and we're obviously improving our own position too. Okay,
so we might go on and just talk about your own journey. What might be the top anywhere between 3 to 5 decisions, practices, or actions that you believe that you did yourself that along your own journey from being a student and could even start while you were a student to being able to be a director of a very well-respected accounting firm?
Okay. Well, I suppose from quite an early stage in my career, I really made sure I understood numbers, and so that wasn't just a matter of, what number, goes where on a set of financial accounts, but really what the numbers really mean. And actually, I remember when I had my job interview here, I was sitting down with the 2 other directors at the time, and we were just having a discussion about banks, and I was saying how frustrating it is that, in certain banks, they just don't know how to read a set of financial accounts. And the directors at the time, here they were saying, that's exactly right. We deal with that on a daily basis. So, and I think that was something that sort of, they picked up on in me quite early, that, this guy gets it. And so I think that was a fairly important, practice of mine.
So can you give us, so going back obviously some time, what was something that you did so that you could make sure that you understand numbers really well? Because it's one thing for people to hear that, but I suppose to get an example of what was something that you can recall doing that was specifically about you making sure, yes, I do understand numbers and what they really mean. Which actually sounds to me like it might relate to that capacity of yours immediately to go to those questions about why. What are the, what underlies these numbers, for example?
Yeah. Look, it was just something that I just really wanted to understand. When I sort of even in my my previous role, working in a family business, I just wanted to make sure I understood where everything was going, why things were happening, and how if you implement some changes and what impact that's going to have. And so I always kept on going back to the numbers, so I think that sort of helped me, or certainly helped to measure outcomes. If you're always coming back to the numbers. So I think it was just something that was just, I don't know whether it was just inbred in me, but it was just something that I always came back to.
Was there any specific mentors that you had, even through the family business years that might have encouraged you down that path?
Yeah, look, I did. We had a external accountant that spent quite a bit of time there, and so going back to him was always helpful for me. I think I've just tried to make sure that I've had sort of good people around. That could be in networks and that sort of thing. Just people that you can lean on.
So what would be some of the other decisions that you made or practices that you did that you think along your journey helped prepare you for your current role? And I should mention, I should check first, are you comfortable with me mentioning your age?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Because it's been a number of years now, but you've only just turned 40, so you've been able to become a director. That is true. You've been able to become a director of as I said earlier, a well-respected accounting firm at a relatively young age, and that's why your story is quite interesting and exciting to hear. So again, we'd like to hear some of the, maybe one or two of the other practices that you believe you did that really set you up, if you like, for this leadership role that you now have.
Yep. I was a director here at 34, so I suppose you would call it relatively young, I suppose. Look, the other things that I have always had a push to continually learn and develop. I don't think we can ever get to a stage where we know as much as we have to know. So particularly when I moved into this role, tax I didn't have a lot of experience with, and that landscape is forever changing.
Yes.
And I'm a leader in the firm here in that area, so I had to be across all of that. So continually learning. I think just being able to foster a good team environment. I regularly perform exactly the same tasks that our accounting team perform.
Yes.
So there's very much a feel that we're all working together. I suppose the only other thing that comes to mind is that I'm certainly not precious. I'm very open and honest. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know.
Yes.
With the directors here, we often have robust discussions on various issues. And I don't always agree, but I'm always prepared to hear another side of the story. And it's often something that I hadn't contemplated at all. So I think being open and honest is very important too.
In fact, Eric's just asked while you're talking now, and I think you're answering this question as we go. What does leadership mean for you now in your current role? It sounds like you're sort of describing that as we speak.
Yeah, I think that's very important. Always approachable, and we're in it together. So I think that is important.
Just on that leadership perspective, and you mentioned the Proactive Accountants Network that was invitation only. Is there been some specific areas that group has provided you, or areas of knowledge, if you like, that relate to your leadership now that you'd like to share with the group that you may have discovered or learned through that network?
I think it's just been a really good journey, or network to be involved in from the perspective of talking to other firms.
Yes.
And so we meet quite often, and we're not competitors because there's so much work out there for us. More so if you're being proactive. So I just think just talking to the other firms and how they've how they lead their team and different structures has been quite helpful.
So one of the benefits I'm hearing from the Proactive Accountants Network is that it's a very collaborative approach to the development of the folk involved in that network for the good of everyone, and not seeing each other as competitors is probably enabling you to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. We basically share everything. We'll sit down and we'll talk about our revenue. We'll talk about people issues. It's been very, very helpful.
Now, Will has asked, how much time did you spend doing extra activities when you were at university? So I know that goes back a few years now, but if you can remember and what those activities might have been, and specifically, Michael, if you think that they have related to your journey on your career.
Okay, well, I was involved with the football club at university. I was treasurer there for a number of years. I've also been treasurer at the local kindergarten, which was quite an interesting experience. And I'm currently treasurer at the local part of the local primary school as well. So I've always liked to sort of, stay involved or, be involved in, local and, community projects. I think I'm treasurer of the local traders association as well. We haven't worked yet for some time, but I'm sure I'm on the list there.
So I'm hearing you say, and we'll get back to some of the specifics of Will's questions in a moment, but I'm hearing you say that even now, as busy as you probably would be being a director of your firm, that you're still dedicating some of your time to some of the community giving aspects of I suppose, your skill set, and that relates back to Will's questioning, where he's specifically asking about how much time did you spend when you were at university doing some of these activities. So you mentioned you were a treasurer of the football club. Did that take up a huge amount of time, or was it something you could, do every once in a while? How did that work?
Yeah, look. I mean, the actual treasurer's role didn't take up a great deal of time. It was often difficult to get subs paid and the like. Look, I mean, even now, I'd probably spend maybe 5 hours a week doing that type of work. It's something that I really quite enjoy doing, and you meet a lot of good people, particularly when you're in an honorary position like that. No one's getting paid, so everybody's got their heart in the right place, and you often meet good people that way. Yes.
Now I've also I'm interested to know whether or not now as a director of Proctor Major, what are the characteristics and traits, and even relating it directly to some of the extracurricular or co-curricular activities that maybe graduates have done, like when you're selecting some people to come into your organisation, Michael, because you mentioned at the start that you have had an injection of youth over the last recent period. So what are some of the characteristics that you look for in some of those new staff into your organisation?
Yeah, we feel, we have a bit of a motto here, and that is hire personality, train skills.
Yes.
So, we really, look for someone who has got good communication skills, and they're a good cultural fit for the firm. When we, it's very refreshing to sit across the table from someone who, look you in the face and, and you can have a good quality discussion with, and, you often find that provided that they've got the basic understanding of accounting principles, everything else, in relation to, being a proactive accountant can be learnt and developed over time. But having that good communication and cultural fit is something that we'd like to see in a graduate from day one.
So actually, Fernando's typed in. So Michael, how important are academic results for you when it comes to recruiting new staff?
Look, I don't think we certainly don't delve too deeply into that side of things.
Yes.
So, I wouldn't say we place a great importance of that. Obviously, we want to feel confident that, the new person entering the team, has a real, thirst to learn, and, has the ability to absorb as much learning as they can.
Yeah, it's interesting, and a lot of the work that I do in leadership development when I'm in the tertiary sector or the university sector, I share with a lot of the students that, it's really important that they are developing their employability skills, their communication, their problem solving, their understanding of themselves and their personal values, so that they can select wisely and come into organisations like yours and be the right cultural fit, and that they should always strive to get the highest academic results that they can. But the reality in our current workplace is that there are a lot of employers, and you've certainly just described this right now, that would probably choose the classic C grade student with really good employability skills over the HD grade or high distinction grade student who can't demonstrate their ability to communicate, and in fact haven't got a well-developed ability to communicate, maybe because all they've done is study and not maybe expanded their experiences beyond the classroom. Is that an accurate description of what's your situation?
Yeah, no, that is absolutely correct. We even in my personal circumstances, I was a reasonable student, but I didn't really sort of excel until I got out of that theoretical world into more of a practical world. So I think looking purely at tertiary results isn't always the best way to go.
And flowing on from this, thank you, Samantha. Samantha's typed in, how do you determine, Michael, the development needs of your current staff? So you've obviously, I'm adding a little bit here to Samantha's question, and I'll repeat it in a moment,
Yep.
but obviously you're clear about the cultural fit and the communication skills. Yes, they have to have a good solid basis for the accounting skills, and from that point, that's where Samantha's question kicks in. How do you determine the development needs of your current staff?
Yeah, look, I think we certainly mix it up a little bit and give them little projects to do, and over a period of time you sort of you certainly get an understanding for their passion and commitment in respect to certain projects, and often it's about just trial and error to sort of find out, what really sort of makes them tick, and what they get a real buzz out of.
When you describe little projects, I'm translating that as meaning projects that, if they don't come off, there's not any, if any, certainly not a large negative risk to the organisation. Rather, if they actually work, then they're a positive and everyone wins. Is that an accurate understanding of what you mean by little projects?
Yeah, it is. I'll give you an example. We're about to relaunch our website. I wouldn't encourage anybody to look at it right now because it's been the same since about 2005. But in the next 4 weeks, we're relaunching our website, and we're also going to also embark on a social media campaign as well. So we picked out 2 of our younger accountants, and we sent them up to Brisbane to do attend a social media workshop, and so we've sort of just thrown that project to them to get the Twitter going, get Facebook and all these other social media outlets working for us.
Places where you can link to webinar recordings, as an example.
Yes, as you can see, I'm a little bit behind the pace there, but Andrew and Mark here are quite well suited to that sort of thing.
I mean, that's a terrific example of organisations tapping into the skills and expertise of a younger generation in this case, and tapping into maybe some of their even personal passions potentially, and using that for the benefit of everyone, the organisation, the individuals, because they're developing, and clearly yourself as a director, because it's going to enable your business to be more connected, etc. And we probably should share proctormajor.com.au. Is the website address, and if I've got my maths correctly, that should be around about the middle of October when your new website is launched. So folks,
that's correct.
Depending on when you drop in, and certainly the live folk on at the moment on this webinar, you might want to go and visit proctormajor.com.au in about 1 month's time, in the middle of October 2011. We're sort of closing in the final parts of the interview, Michael. Have you got, say, top 3 tips that you would recommend to a graduate, so someone who's leaving university and has just got themselves a job? What are the top 3 things you think that they could do to more quickly advance their career?
Well, I suppose the number one thing I would suggest is to be proactive. Don't wait for opportunities to come your way. Go out and seek opportunities. One good way of doing that is to join networks. There's a lot of good people out there. Talk to different people, and just similar to what we're doing with our Proactive Accounts network. The more you speak to other people in the industry, the further you will develop. Continually learn from other people.
Yes.
Which is very, very important. And I think one other tip would be just to get involved in what other people are doing. It's much more fun if we're all doing something together. So whether it be, a particular project at work, or even, something in the local community, I'd certainly encourage that. And you'll meet some good people, and you'll certainly come off better for it.
So, as an example, right now, I would translate that to mean that if staff within your organisation were to say, "Oh, look, I know you might want me to stay back till 6:30 tonight, but I've actually got a committee meeting for my local kinder that I'm the treasurer for, so I'm sort of committed to going on." I'm hearing you say, that's a sort of example where you'd say, "Yeah, absolutely, we support that. work out what needs to be done for the work here. Have I understood that correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. We encourage our guys to get out there, and it could just be like a networking function, having drinks in the city, or anything else like that.
It's interesting with those two tips that you've mentioned there, Michael, about being proactive and getting involved in what other people are doing. That certainly with being proactive and the way you described that about sort of getting involved in networks. It's interesting from my experience. A lot of graduates, when they get the job, that they actually stop doing a lot of the things that they were doing that got them the first job in the first place. And what I'm hearing you say with both of these examples is don't stop doing those things. Keep getting involved with networks. Find mentors, as an example. In fact, the more and more I do this work and research, the more and more I'm discovering that successful people have consistently been proactive with seeking mentors in their lives through networks, as you're suggesting, and getting involved in things just outside their own sort of small space. Still using the same skill sets and developing the same skill sets as an example, but as you're saying, getting out there, getting involved in the local community, because again, you just never know who you might meet. So if opportunities aren't able to come up in your own organisation, you're increasing the chances of finding them beyond the boundaries of where you're at.
Yeah, I totally agree, and often it's a matter of just getting outside of your comfort zone.
Oh, absolutely, and being prepared to take some risks in that space along the way.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, we'll just open up to see if there's been any questions. It's been terrific to get the questions along the journey. Thank you, folks. I'll just keep this screen available for a few more seconds to see if we get any hands raised. We may have indeed answered any of your questions along the way. Looks like we don't have any at the moment. I'll just give another few seconds. Okay, I'm getting messages to say we're all good. Thank you, Eric. All right. Look, Michael, I'd like to thank you for your time and for your persistence today with the technology to get us on board, and we really appreciate that. Sometimes people just throw in the towel, so I really appreciate it. And I'm sure on behalf of our audience, they'd really appreciate your time, because we know you are extremely busy. And it's an absolute delight to hear a little bit about your journey, and particularly your insights about leadership from being a director of a successful and highly respected accounting firm, and also what you're doing through Proctor Major at the moment to really differentiate yourselves, I suppose, amongst your competitors, and how you're really focused on the culture of your team and recruiting the right people into that culture and then helping them develop along the way, which sounds really exciting. So again, I'd like to really thank you. Folks, as an extra bonus for you participating in this webinar, if you haven't joined us already, you have the opportunity to access free membership of the OTM Academy, which is at www.otmacademy.com. There's lots of ebooks and webinar recordings, and constantly got lots of opportunities and information for other leaders out there, both senior and developing, who share our view that organisational success is built upon enabling your people to shine. So please join us at the OTM Academy for further information. Please feel free to contact me, connect with myself and Michael through LinkedIn. You have all of the contact details there. For those of you that may be seeing this from an international perspective, please add your international code plus the numbers 61 to the phone numbers for business and mobile that you can see on the screen. Once again, we'd like to thank and appreciate Michael for his precious time in coming along. I'd like to thank everyone in the audience for participating. Your questions have been absolutely magnificent, specifically Eric, Samantha, Will, Fernando and Pauline, who have provided us with some questions, and then the rest of us who have been listening patiently throughout this webinar. Michael, any last comments you'd like to make?
No, thanks for listening to me.
Not a problem. Once again, we appreciate your time. Folks, the webinar recording will be made very shortly to you all. Thanks again for participating, and I look forward to working with you all next time.